Right now, 13% says Bama blows out USC 52-6. 15% LSU loses to Wisconsin. 27% Houston beats Oklahoma. And 45% the SEC losing those 5 non-conference games. I think it is the SEC because they've lost big games. LSU is supposed to be one of the best teams. I mean, they're a top 5 team, right? And Brandon Harris is the same guy we saw last year. And Les Miles, Cajuns are calling for his head today. And they have been all weekend since they lost at Wisconsin, or in Wisconsin, to Wisconsin. And then the other just embarrassing losses. Mississippi State to South Alabama. Kentucky blowing a 35-10 lead to Southern Miss. I mean, I know these are Mississippi State and Kentucky, but that's just embarrassing. They're embarrassing for the conference. And if Ole Miss loses to Florida State, who is the number 4 team in the country tonight, the SEC will have its worst ever opening weekend in the conference history with 7 losses. They had 6 losses as a whole in 1995 when there were 12 teams, and they could go 500 this weekend if Ole Miss loses tonight, which is definitely a possibility. So I got to say it's the SEC because everybody talks about the SEC, the best conference, but when you have these teams losing and almost losing to La Tech, like Arkansas barely got away from them, and then you have Florida struggling with UMass, and of course Tennessee we've talked about struggling with Appy State.
But you're talking about these SEC losses like they're surprises. The only surprise that I had was LSU, and it came down to Brandon Harris throwing an interception late in the game, which is not surprising. Did you really think that Kentucky or Mississippi State are worth a damn?
No, but they're supposed to beat those teams.
They're bad.
But what the SEC prides itself on is depth. And they say our 12th guy can beat your 12th guy by 3 touchdowns. That's what the SEC prides itself on.
I disagree.
Is depth of team, saying it's the toughest conference from top to bottom. And on any given Saturday, Mississippi State could beat the best team in their division or whatever it might be. That's been the pride of the SEC.
See, I disagree with that.
Okay, that's fine.
That's wrong because I think that the SEC prides themselves, yes, it's conference depth a little bit, but more importantly, it's that our best teams are better than yours. I mean, that's really what conference pride is. Nobody cares about Mississippi State or if it's Iowa State in the Big 12 or if it's Maryland. Like nobody cares about those teams. No. People care about your best teams going head to head against the other conference best teams. And the only surprise on this weekend was LSU and a late interception by Branson.
Yeah, and I lost my second mortgage in the same damn weekend, so I need to stop doing that.
Well, you need to pick better games.
I need to do more research before the mortgage question gets sprung on me live on video.
The answer to this question, I think, is between one of 2 things. Bama, I really want to go with Alabama because did Alabama not prove to you that they are the best team in the nation? They solidified that. Clemson didn't solidify that. Yeah. Tennessee sure as hell didn't do that. I don't think Michigan played Hawaii. I don't think that you can really state that. If Florida State blows out Ole Miss, I think that would be a statement game. I think that would be probably the biggest storyline of the college football weekend, but it has to be Houston. The answer is Houston beating Oklahoma because everybody and their mother predicted that Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma, Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon, Bob Stoops, they had every single facet that was better than Houston. They're a bigger conference. They've played in bigger games. And what happened? Houston torched them. They torched them in the second half. They stopped Baker Mayfield. Houston was the surprise and the storyline of the weekend. And maybe I'm indulging a little bit because I predicted them to go to the college football playoff.
Look, you're excited about Houston because you picked them to go to the playoff.
Because I knew watching most of their games last year because I jumped somewhat on the bandwagon last year and said, wow, that's a pretty good team.
Look, they got real players.
And it carried over.
The first 5-star to ever go to a non-Power 5 conference team, Ed Oliver, he showed it Saturday. That guy's a freak, and he's going to tear off. If he tears up Oklahoma, that guy's going to rip through the AAC. And here we go again. And this is what I've been saying about Houston ever since the schedule came out and once they beat Florida State last year and were prepping themselves and Tom Herman stayed and didn't jump to another school. They beat Oklahoma. They play Louisville in November.
Yes, but you predicted, everybody else predicted that Oklahoma would beat them.
Yes, I thought Oklahoma would win Saturday.
So that's
but I was
the surprise.
It wasn't a huge surprise. I mean, Houston.
Are you kidding me?
I mean,
yes.
the way they did it was it was eye-opening. I mean, it caught your attention.
That's
But it wasn't like
the definition of a
biggest-
surprise.
It wasn't the biggest surprise. That's the one game that I look forward to the most watching all weekend.